Hello there, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are. It's me, Addison, your favourite friendly furbog who hangs around the internet and talks about all things nerdy. And we are carrying on with our August online Commander Fest here, or Command Fest here at the Pod of Many Things. And today I'm joined by Doni, the filthy MTG casual, as he calls himself. Filthy, I tell you. So let's get to meet Doni, and then we'll get into today's topic. So, Doni, do you want to introduce yourself, tell people where you're at, what you're doing here, etc., etc.?
Sure. Hey, everybody. It's Cardboard Pimpin' from Instagram, or you can find me on Twitter at Pimpin73. I am one half of the Filthy MTG Casuals. Me and my wife have been playing and collecting since, I don't know, about 95.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we're doing, like, we got TikToks, we got YouTube videos, we've got our regular weekly podcast on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Twitch. And then I also do a casual Friday stream where I just grab like 3 people at random during the week and have a game on Friday nights. So
Nice.
that's about all that. Yeah, that's what we do.
That's awesome. So you've got your fingers quite firmly on the pulse of like the commander social circle, by the sounds of things, if you've got all that going on. And a lot of people seem to follow you and take your advice on stuff when you interact with them on Twitter. So you're quite a well-respected figure in the community as well, actually. Well, this is what I've observed anyway. I don't know if you feel that way. You might just be like, yeah, I'm just a dude. Like,
We're just EDH fans. That's all.
yeah. So we are talking about casual Magic the Gathering, casual EDH or Commander, and it's quite weird actually, because I've always thought of Commander as the more casual format, but obviously there's been a bit of a rise in the competitive scene, and we're going to be talking to Liliana about that. I think tomorrow or a couple of days from now. So
Awesome.
yeah, what's the difference then between casual Magic and competitive Magic? Like, let's start at the very basics and core of the topic. What's the difference?
So, like, for us, when we're talking about casual EDH, it's really kind of a very, very open format where you can basically just play anything you want. It doesn't have to be good. It can be, completely silly or stupid or whatever. There isn't really a whole lot of ground rule as far as what makes a casual deck.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will get hung up on like card value or combo versus combat and all that other stuff. But I mean, casual EDH is really just anything goes. It does make it a little bit difficult to get just random games, especially if like you're a heavy mill player.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't really looking for that kind of deal when you're talking about casual EDH.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a perfectly viable, strategy.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Bill.
No.
I've got
it's part of the game.
Yeah, I've got a Sendra's Secret Xander deck that, I mean, yeah, the ultimate goal is to mill as many libraries as I possibly can in a single game. But it's really about intent. You're not trying to win in 5 or less turns. You're not doing infinite anything really, unless it's turn 12 and it's a 4 or 5 card combo, and you just happen to what is it? I keep hearing assemble Exodia or whatever it is. So it's just kind of like you get to do like silly things. Like I saw one guy create what was it, 28 copies of the Ice Fang Quaddle,
Whoa.
where
Whoa.
and then he's playing Admix and Nev, and then you got these 28 copies, and all of a sudden he's like, oh wait a minute, I'm going to draw my deck, you know. So you see more things like that in casual EDH than you do in competitive.
Mm.
Whereas competitive, you're looking at yeah, you may still be looking at the 3 to 5 card combination, but you're going in turn one, you're looking for that line, you know,
Straight
from the
away, it's like the first thing you're looking for.
Yeah, from the moment you start your first mulligan.
Yeah. Is it so all in all, like casual's kind of like the vibe and like the relaxing of the rules in general, but do you also think that casual has more variance, so like you see more things, because obviously the objective in competitive is to win, so like you say, there's a line and you're aiming for that line every time, whereas and basically any deviation from that line either gets you back onto the line or replaces that line, whereas I feel like in like casual commander or EDH, I feel like you even if a deck's line gets like interrupted, there's something stupid in there. So like, for example, in the Volo deck that I'm building, if I can't get Volo out, there's still some stupid stuff in there, like I've got a thing for Titan of Industry, like, and like just I'm gonna throw down a Titan of Industry and just somehow have loads of rhinos. Scoot Swarm's another one, and Ruin Crab are interesting, like throwing those two down and just going, okay, we're going this way then, we're going this way, that way. Yeah.
And you can pivot. I think it's easier, not necessarily easier to pivot in casual, but it's not as critical. You can buy that 2, maybe 3 turns to get you back to where you need to be if you get interrupted. Your decks don't have to be as resilient, playing casually, because sometimes you're going to end up in a board wipe heavy meta, and some decks can recover from that, some decks can't. But I think my biggest piece of advice for casual players is never expect every matchup to be perfect.
No.
Because you're just letting yourself down by going in with those kind of expectations. Rule 0 matters. You should have that conversation, and as long as everybody's being open and honest, and you know what, maybe the first game you're gonna have a lopsided pairing, but there's always another game.
Yeah.
And you never lose a game without learning anything, but you also never win a game without learning anything. So just by playing the game, you're becoming a better player. It doesn't matter really whether you win or lose. Winning's great, but I think it's more about what you learn along the way.
Yeah. I was going to ask about Rule 0, so I think we'll go into that. Like, you say that Rule 0 is really important, and I come from a Rule 0 kind of dynamic from TTRPGs. Myself as a GM, when I run games in any form of TTRPG, you have the Rule 0 conversation. These are the things we're going for. These are the things we're not going for, etc., etc. Like, obviously in competitive, you're not going to have that conversation quite as much, because it is like, I'm out to win, so like I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, because that's dumb. How important do you think that Rule 0 conversation is for casual EDH, and do you think it is a defining feature of the casual game?
I mean, I would actually disagree with you when you say that in CEDH you're not going to, because I think that's absolutely the case. You don't lose anything. You're not losing anything by people knowing what you're trying to do.
I guess so. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the time, if you're sitting down to a CEDH table where everyone has been playing for any length of time, they know what your cards do. I would even go so far as to say that the Rule 0 conversation for CEDH matches is easier.
Oh,
because Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's trying to win. That's the ultimate goal. They're trying to win either as fast as possible, or you've got your stacks players that are just trying to slow the game down and remain ahead of everybody else until they can get to their win cons.
Mm-hmm.
So you do find those mismatches in CEDH where you've got three players that are just on straight up aggro. They're looking to just burn through their libraries in 4 or 5 turns, or less. And then you've got the stacks player that's just like, yeah, screw you guys, that's not happening.
Yeah, I can totally agree to that. Like I didn't think of it that way actually. That it's not that it's not important, and like, but I guess what you're saying is right. It's because everyone's on the same page. It's just shorter, really.
Yeah.
In
those conversations are just easier with
yeah,
CBA.
I'm playing this. It does this. Let's go. Pretty much. Whereas again, what we mentioned earlier, variance makes that conversation a bit more multifaceted in a casual sense, because it's like power levels. I need to talk to somebody about the power levels because I don't quite understand them. Maybe that's something we can talk about in a minute, like when we've got through this, because like I kind of get them, but I kind of don't at the same time. I'm like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And I look at a deck and I'm kind of like, that doesn't seem like the right power level. How does that work? So like, yeah. So the rule zero conversation is really important, and yeah. I'm trying
for casual, it's so. I mean, I have a Kenrith creatureless enchantment deck, but the primary win con is a door to nothingness.
Oof.
Powered by Signets. Okay?
Yeah.
So in order for me to get that off, I need at least 5, if not 6 Signets, or 5 Signets and a Mana Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I need the door to nothingness. So you're looking at it's a 7-card combo, maybe 6, if I'm lucky. But the rest of the deck is shrines and other enchantments that help me get to my win con, whether it's upkeep triggers, main phase triggers, or destinies.
Yeah.
So when I have that rule zero conversation, and that's the deck that I'm looking to play, like I have to line all that out for everybody. I am running all of the shrines that do additional damage, draw cards, give me mana.
For every shrine you've got, yeah.
Exactly, but I'm also running like Spirit Safety and Propaganda. So ideally I'm trying to create a board state where no one can mess with me until I can get to my primary win con.
Yeah, you're kind of like playing like a strange Voltron setup. Like I'm going to I'm working towards this Door of Destiny, but like I'm gonna equip whatever I've got or find whatever I've got using enchantments and everything, and sorceries and everything. Like it's kind of a weird, not quite Voltron. It's kind of like how some people play Narset, where she's literally Commander Narset is literally the only monster card you have in your whole deck, but then you just like throwing everything you can on Narset to get into that win state, which usually involves things like creating tokens, giving your tokens and stuff like haste and lifelink and stuff like that. So like those couple of cards. So that's pretty dope. What makes a successful rule zero conversation then, though? Because like you said, honesty is a good one. Like honesty
is the most important thing right there. You have to be honest about what you're doing, and then you have to also be honest about your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I'll be in a pod where one player's on, let's say, they've got a heavy reanimator plan.
Yeah.
And another player, all of their removal is exile removal.
Oof. That would be rough.
That's a bad matchup. That's just a bad matchup.
Yeah.
And it happens because at that point you have to make that decision. Okay, do I want to not play this deck because it's going to be a bad matchup? Do I want to play this deck because I want to see if I can play through, or around that type of strategy? I mean, and again, it comes back to every game is a learning experience.
Mm.
So yeah, honesty, I think, is the number one thing when it comes to honesty, expectations, and then intent.
Yeah.
Because you could be like, I have Rakdos, which is, I mean, I'm trying to do free demon tribal, but again, one of my primary win cons is just Heartless Hidetsugu and a Whip of Erebos. So
What?
I'm trying to tap Hidetsugu, have everybody's life totals, and gain a bunch of life. I mean, and then there's other things in that deck, like I run Pestilence because occasionally I'll find myself with a large enough mana package on the field where I can just wipe the board and just take everybody with me.
Yeah.
That's the strategy for that deck, though. I'm trying to kill everybody, including myself.
Yeah. And that's usually what happens in Commander, isn't it? Like you end up like life is a resource in Commander, not like in Standard and
Exactly.
Modern. Like in
Exactly.
Standard and Modern, you're like, how can I mitigate every bit of life I'm losing because I might need it to crack something or whatever. And whereas in Command, everybody's just there like, yeah, I shock in this land, like, but you've only got like 10 life. Yeah, and like everybody seems a bit more like.
I only need one. I only need one life to win. That's all I need.
Exactly.
And sometimes I just need to die last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Or like I can take like there are cards now that like obviously if you've got them, like I think it's Pact Weapon, you can keep going into like negatives and just being like, as long as this card's on the field, like attached to something, I do not die by having 0 life, so I don't even need one anymore. Like, so yeah, that is really interesting. Is there anything like, if you're at a casual pod then, is there anything that's like in any card or commander, if somebody like mentions that they're playing a deck with a certain commander, that is an instant red flag to the casual player or anything like that?
I mean, that's a hard question to quantify because game memory exists.
Mm-hmm.
Every player's experience is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, Atla Polani is like my nemesis.
Mm.
I've got a buddy who's got a very, very well-tuned Atla deck, and it's a life goal. I'm going to beat that deck one of these days.
One of these days, it's going down.
It's going to happen. It has to happen. But I mean, I try to play things like Atraxa, but just the precon.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a decent deck. It's not a great deck.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as people see Atraxa, they're like, oh no, this is Turbo Infect, and you're gonna have a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, really, it's kind of just everyone's experience is gonna be different. I know people that like, I love Najila. Najila is one of my favorite commanders.
Yeah.
But my play group absolutely can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a deck, and I probably had that deck for like 2 years now. But it's just Warrior Tribal. It's not super tuned. I don't have a whole lot of interaction. I don't have a whole lot of ramp. I've got a slow mana package. But Najila can still win in 5 turns without working too hard for it.
I have a similar experience on Magic Arena at the minute, because obviously if you want to play Commander on Magic Arena, you have to play Historic Brawl, which isn't quite the same, but you do it anyway. You do it anyway because it's fun. And like I have the same sort of my 2 Nemesis decks that as soon as I see them, I'm like, oh fuck, is Krenko. As soon as I see Krenko, I'm like, oh no, like, and Gladia, the angel, like angels seem to be like my anti-tribe. Like every time I play against an angel deck, either in Standard, Modern, whatever, I'm like, you guys get so much support and I don't understand why. Like, you've got so many good cards, like, for your set. Go away. Like, I'm just trying to be here, trying to turn it to nighttime, trying to run over you with my werewolf boys, and you're there like, oh, no. Like, it's so annoying. Or, like, you're there like, oh, finally got Volo out, and they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, when this angel comes in, it, like, flickers and then does something, and rah, and then this angel makes it do this. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I just wanted to clone like mirror image. Sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Like it was, yeah. So yeah, I completely understand that, like, game memory and like our grudges kind of skew our threat assessment almost. Because I know
no,
that,
absolutely.
because like I know that Krenko, when you look at him, isn't actually that big a deal. But I don't know why. But every time I'm like staring down 30 goblins, like, how did I get here? Like, I was killing goblins all the time.
Franco gets a lot of heat because of all of the support it has for what it does.
Yeah.
You know, cards like Perforos and Warstorm Surge and all of those things where, like, okay, I'm going to tap this goblin, 10 creatures are going to come into play, and then everybody's taking 13 damage.
Yeah. And you're like, what?
That's why. That's exactly why, Cranko takes heat.
I just, yeah, me, I was just like talking to somebody about it the other day. And I was like, I just don't understand. Like, I'm supposed to be playing a deck that clones things. I've got like the errant street artist to like clone my clones. I've got like shapeshifters. I've got I'm gonna have Edrix and Nev soon to like make more tokens every time I make tokens. Like, I'm gonna be sick, and then I'm just there like, what happened? What happened to me? How have I not got tokens and this guy's got like 30? But yeah, it does make me laugh. One of the things that I was thinking about as well is like that rule 0 conversation has to happen in the right atmosphere. I think that casual play has to happen in the right atmosphere in general, and most play has to happen in the right atmosphere. But I feel as though, especially for new people, if the vibes aren't right, then like they might feel a bit exposed or whatnot. How does one go about creating the ideal atmosphere and feeling and vibe for a casual table?
For us, we don't take it too seriously. We understand that there's going to be bad matchups, and you know what? If you don't vibe with a certain player or a certain play style, all you have to do is say something.
Yeah.
You have to be honest, and for some people, that can be more difficult than it is for others. Some people, well, I don't want to be the bad guy, or okay, but it's your time, and if you're not going to protect your time, nobody else can do that for you.
Yeah, definitely. I understand that.
So really, it's just about, we're here to have fun, and if we're not having fun, then we need to change what we're doing.
Definitely.
It's really that simple. And like for new players, don't play any game that you don't want to play.
Yeah.
Nobody's holding a gun to your head. And if you're on Spell Table and you're just looking for pickup games, if you get into a pod and it doesn't feel right, just excuse yourself and say, hey guys, this isn't for me, and go find another pod. There are literally thousands of people online every minute of almost every day looking for games. So there's really, if you're not having a good time, if you're not finding the right matchups, then you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared to like jump in Spell Table just on my own. Like I'm looking for people to do that with, because of the fact that like it is kind of overwhelming. And like yeah, but I think you hit on a good point there again, like honesty, openness. Because one of the things I really like about Commander and all the content that I've seen around it, because I've not actually had the opportunity to play in person yet, is like that, like you say, not taking it too seriously. Like, people are genuinely excited, and one of the things I'm really excited about joining this community is the excitement. Like you Commander players, like EDH players, when you play Modern, you kind of sit around and moan for a bit. Like, that's kind of your job. You moan about something. You moan that your tribe doesn't get enough support. When you play Standard, you moan that rotation's coming in September, and it means like retuning half your deck to find suitable replacements for cards that are no longer in Standard rotation. But one of the things I find really cool about Commander is that excitement, and the like people just launch over the table and pick up a card that they've never seen before, and like you don't feel like, don't touch my cards. Whereas sometimes when you're playing Modern in person, like when somebody starts like messing about with your cards, you're like, please stop doing that. Like stop touching my stuff. Whereas like I really like in Commander that like excitement to see new cards, to see cards that you may never have seen interact in that way, and like people are actually willing to explain stuff. Whereas when you play tournament play, like draft play or anything, sometimes people are just like, yeah, this does this, and you're like, hang on, what's that? And they're like, you should have listened the first time. And they're just, it's. I really like that about Commander, how they like really welcoming and excited to play the game. So yeah, what do you think? That's like a cool thing about this format as well.
Oh, the social aspect of Commander is amazing. Uh, I will say that there's still a level of etiquette there. You really shouldn't be reaching across the table and grabbing somebody's card.
No, yeah, of
Um,
course, but like,
but yes, hey, can I see that? Can I take a look at that? One of the things that I love about Spell Table, is that you can just click on it. You can see everything. There's no, you
yeah,
know,
I think that's a really cool thing about that like whole platform is like the fact that if it's on the tabletop on the layout, you can like click on the card and like the database like pulls that card, doesn't it? Like that's so
exactly.
cool.
You can see the flavor text. You can see exactly what it does, what it doesn't do. Um, so yeah, that's definitely something that's really really cool about playing online.
Mm. And
But
like,
yeah, it's the social aspect of EDH. I mean, I invite anybody to come and hang out in one of our streams because we're laughing, we're having a good time, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, sure. Like the other day we were playing, look, Katie was on Toxroll, and it was like, okay, I'm playing Darian. Let's see if we can get there. Jen's playing Glunch. I don't remember what the fourth player was on, but it was just kind of one of those things where we knew, generally Toxroll is going to do Toxroll things unless somebody's playing enough removal to keep it off the board.
toxic real, yeah. Like,
But it was still a great game. We still had fun. We still enjoyed it.
yeah,
So yeah, as long as you're going into it without winning is great, but it's more about the game and the interaction with the other players for us.
yeah, and I feel like casual EDH is about the story of the game. Like
Absolutely.
the story of the game is the core thing. So even if you go out first, if you go out swinging or something, you came fourth, but like you did some cool stuff, and you got to show people your jank and go, right, this is sweet. Whereas like again in like other formats, you're a bit like, oh damn, like I went out 2-1 in standard, like in standard like, tournament play. Like I went out 2-1. It was because this guy runs like 4 copies of this in his deck, and like you just get like the title says, no salt attached. Like you just get salty. Whereas like I feel like with EDH, everybody's like, oh yeah, no, that was dope when you did this, and yeah, it's a shame you went out, but like then you allowed me to do this, this, and this. Like I've never seen somebody cast farewell in a EDH pod, and everybody kind of goes, "That's fucking dope." like that was such a cool play. Because if you played that in standard or modern, it would just be like, fine,
Uh,
yeah, fine, fine.
okay, whatever.
Yeah, no, just fine. We're good. Like, whereas like you play a board wipe in EDH, and everybody's like, "Oh no, that's so bad, but so cool at the same time." And
Exactly.
it's just insane, and I think it's so
Yeah.
cool. Um,
Yeah.
so your pods like are you quite selective with your pods, or do you like said that we invite anybody to hang out? But is there like are you like just looking at people who are like yourselves, or do you open it to newcomers and stuff like that? Because I know that like some pods, even when they play casual, are a bit like, if you've just got pre-cons, we're probably not the right pod for you, or something like that. So how do you like let people into your pod?
I mean, yeah, we'll play anything. We can play pre-cons, we can play constructed, we can play high power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've played CEDH. We don't we don't limit the people that we bring on to our Saturday morning stream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we want it to be for the community. So, those are the people that interact with us and the people that we interact with. Those are the people, that are invited onto the stream. Um, if anybody could reach out, we have a Discord. We've had people from Discord come on stream. A lot of the times, my casual Fridays, I will have like Discord members or other people. We've got some of the people that we met at Command Fest Bellevue last weekend are going to be on the roster for next month or the following month. So really, if you're down to have a good time and you're cool people, then you're more than welcome on our stream.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I would actually love to like come and play on some streams. Obviously, with the time difference, we'd have to sort it out because I've got a baby and stuff. But
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna lie, I love my wife very much, but she can be an angry lady. Because obviously she looks after the baby, and now they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go play Commander online with my friends, and she's there like, what about me? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, I would love to do that. So do you think that casual is the best way to get someone into Commander first off, and then if they fall in love with the format, which seems to be like impossible not to do, like it seems to be impossible that you don't not you that you. It seems impossible that you don't fall in love with the format. Like as soon as you play Commander or watch a Commander game, like it's just so cool. Like I've been watching Tabletop Jocks, I Hate Your Deck, like Command Zone. What else have I watched? I've watched all sorts. Elder Dragon Hijinks. I've consumed so much Commander content because it just looks fun. And like, so do you think casual EDH is the best way to get someone into the format?
I would say it depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are more interested in very low variance, and they may do better in a 60 card format.
Yeah,
I think it depends on the games that those individuals like to play. I think that anybody who has seen EDH content and is interested in EDH content definitely has an easier time starting playing casual, because you can literally go out, buy a pre-con and just play it. You don't have to build a deck, you don't have to have a large collection. You can go and spend the $30 or whatever on just a cheap pre-con. And you can just sit down and play the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the easiest buy-in, or that's the easiest sell for new players. It's like, yeah, they may hear about the reserve list and $1,000 cards and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, proxies exist. There shouldn't be any limit on just because you don't make six figures doesn't mean you can't play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is something that we've got a bit of a problem with at the minute, is like because of the rise that Wizards has just done with all the products in general. There does now seem to be, with especially, I will say this is something that I've considered and seen more in Commander than in, because it's a singleton format. There is a kind of like this perception that Magic is a pay to win thing. Like, so like, if I don't have these really expensive cards, then like, I'm not gonna win. And I don't have that problem personally. Like, I've managed to like find most of the cards I want on eBay, and I know people are gonna be like, why aren't you supporting like the deck building companies and stuff, that Card Kingdom and stuff? I'm like, because they tax me really heavily because I'm in the UK, my guy. I'm sorry. Like, I would love to be able to just drop, like, I think one of the Volo decks I saw on there, which is really good, and one of the ones that I ran preliminarily on Magic Arena was like $60. So for me, that's like what, 50 something pounds. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to just be able to drop that and go, right, here's 50 quid. Like, build me this deck, and then there you go. Sweet, we're done. But like, because of the fact that they would tax me, it'd probably like be double. Or by the time I get it to me with like shipping and stuff, because they even say like UK has a weird customs things for cards. I'm like, no. So yeah, it's just, I find most of the stuff on eBay. It's usually pretty good. Like, for example, one of the things for my werewolf EDH deck that I'm building is I need another Arlen Pax Hope, and I actually found an Arlen's Pax Hope extended art special, so the borderless art, for cheaper than like the standard one.
Yeah.
So it was like a tenner. It was like like all the standard ones were like 15, 20 pounds, and I'm like, and it come with 2 foil wolf tokens. I'm like, that's okay, whatever. Like, I'll take that. Like, I'm taking that all the time. Like, I just need Immer Wolf, which is kind of expensive, but you know, that's how it works. And me and my buddy are gonna probably sort through some Magic cards another time, because we used to run a games club, and the club dissolved, and then we kind of like offered people these Magic cards to offload them, and then nobody ever wanted them, so we've kind of just, he's kind of been stuck with them, because like I had them for ages, because I like was like the chairman of the club, and then he became the chairman, so I had to send them to him, and he's probably just going to bring them back to me and be like, yo, what do you want? And we're just going to take what we want and probably sell off the rest, hopefully. But yeah, it's one of those things that like, price shouldn't be a massive issue, and I know that some people really look down their nose at proxies. What do your pod think about proxying? Like, obviously you've got a lax thing of it, but is there like a point where you're like, hang on, that's a bit too many? Or
No, I have entirely proxy decks.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And I'm totally cool with, you know, I want to play against your brain, not your wallet.
That's I think that's admirable, because I know that there's even some casual tables that would be a bit like, no, that's kind of BS. But no, I respect that. And I thank you for letting people do that, because conversations I've had, like, most people are for proxies, but like there's like a limit. It's like, if you want like a mana crypt or something, they might let you. Like, I'm like, really? Like, just that? Okay. But yeah, like,
it's not like people are walking up to the table with, you know, all the power 9 in their deck.
Yeah.
It's that, you know, even I'm going to be like, okay, wait a minute, that's not, you know, I mean, sure, I can meet you with that. I can meet that energy. I actually have a mono brown list that has no lands in it. So it runs all the Moxen and all that other stuff in it. They're all proxy.
Yeah.
You know, because the only way I wouldn't even play with those cards if I owned them.
No, you wouldn't. You just like, they are like display, like they are.
Exactly.
They
belong in a deposit box.
Yeah,
you know?
they either belong in a safety deposit box, and you will one of them to each of your 9 children that you've got to now have, because you've got like 9 cards. So like, yeah, I completely understand that. Because even some people are a bit funny, because I fiddle. I'm really sorry. So if you've seen me like messing about with stuff, I'm really sorry about that. Because like, some people are even funny about these new like proxy commander etch cards. Like, some people are like, oh, well, why are you playing with that when you have the actual card? I'm like, because I put that in something. Like, I put that in something, and like, you can't get this unless you have the real one, pretty much. Like, and no one's gonna buy just the proxy card. So like, just let me go with it. Like, I wanted to put it in my Volo deck. Leave me alone. Like,
like, we do the same thing with all, like, we buy the precons, and those are the cards that we keep with the deck. You know, the other cards go into inventory.
Yeah.
We keep the thick, heavy. Yeah, that's the commander. It shouldn't matter. You can read it. You know what it is. It shouldn't matter.
I keep looking at like the precons, because like I usually buy. I do what everybody does in any TCG, which is you kind of buy the precons to blow them up eventually. Like you kind of like, but part of me for the magic ones kind of goes, do I need to buy 2 every time I get one, and one's to blow up and one's to keep the same? Because like
Yeah, that's 100%. That's what we do.
I'm like, because I don't want to take it apart, but then I'm also like, but I really want my Volo deck. Like I really want it so bad. And
Exactly.
and
And
like, yeah,
I'm totally cool if you buy one and then you proxy the cards you want to play with.
yeah.
I'm totally cool with that.
I quite like the because I'm also looking for which of the Gruul precons I want, because obviously I'm doing Tovolar as a commander because werewolves are my jam. Like, I'm sorry guys, like I can't resist the urge to werewolf at every opportunity, and yeah, like I'm like looking at the Gruul decks. I'm like, the Vrondis one has nothing else I can use in it, like apart from all the artifacts and like the land base is better. Like, so I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Then I look at like Exit from Exile. I'm like, there's a Jeska's Will in there, and like the commander's actually good for the deck. Like, shit, what do I do? I'm like, I can only get one at this moment in time. Like, it's been rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been a rough old time thinking about that. So, in your experience, if we think about like the story and like the atmosphere and everything, would you say that casual gameplay for EDH is also a better learning environment of like what things do and stuff like that? Is it better to go down to a local card shop and find a casual table to like learn a deck and stuff like that, rather than, because some people some people might be like, yo, put me to the fire, like put my feet to the fire, I will sink or swim. Whereas I'm very much like, I kind of want, when I'm learning something, I will admit I kind of sometimes do want people to hold my hand and be like, did I do that right? Is that okay? Like, so do you think that's a more conducive learning environment, or do you think, again, like it depends on the person?
I would like to say that yes, it's a better learning environment, but it's really going to come down to the people that you're playing with. We do have an amazing EDH community. There's a lot of great people out there, but again, when you're talking about like Twitter and Instagram, and it's such a small cross section of the sheer number of people that play EDH. That I can't tell somebody that they can go down to their local game store and find a casual pod and they're going to have the greatest experience. I can't say that.
No,
because
of course not.
that might not be true. But I would say that just because you have one bad experience, don't give up.
Yeah, definitely.
Or, I mean, really, learn to play online before you go play in person. Because there's tons of Discords and Twitch streamers, and I mean, like, there's thousands of people that you could learn from.
Mate, the Commander Advisory Board, or group, sorry, because the CAG, isn't it? The CAG have their own like show where they literally play commanders that like people have like asked about and stuff, and it's so funny. They are actually like so funny because they're like, oh, I didn't realize this was broken.
Yeah, Wolves Committee is the same way. The RC, they've got their own stream. A lot of the CAG players show up on there, and then the CAG players, a lot of them have their own streams, and there's no end to the amount of like really, really cool people that you can learn to play the game from. And there's like no buy-in. It's super easy. All you really got to do is send someone a message.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping to do over this month, is like find people and maybe play a couple of spell table games and stuff, and get on some pods. And
hit me up.
I will.
We can play on stream. We can play off stream.
Yeah, you can like tell me how badly I mess up and stuff like that. Like you can like coach me, send me in.
Yeah, that's part of casual.
Hmm.
You know, anybody can sit down at the table and, we make misplays. Just because we've been playing the game for as long as we've been playing, it doesn't necessarily mean we know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah, I find that with a lot of things like TTRPGs are a bit like that as well. Like I've been
Mm-hmm.
playing TTRPGs for a while now, and like everybody's like, "You must know what you're doing," and I'm like, "No, no." I just kind of if
Sometimes we get lucky.
yeah, like oh that worked out, like cool. Oh, you gave me a dope plot hook. I'm gonna take that and run with it because it's better than the
Yep.
one I came up with. Like, yeah, you just have to. I kind of talked about it with Bird when we talked about the crossover between RPGs, TTRPGs, and MTG because
Mhm.
more so than other like card games because I've played Yu-Gi-Oh. I played Duel Masters for a bit as well, but that makes me sound really like I feel really old when I say that because there are people like, "What the fuck is Duel Masters?" I'm like, mate, you think the Digimon card game is weird now? Like, you
Yeah.
didn't play the original Digimon card game. Like, oh my god! Like, I don't think anybody knew how to play because it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, the like we were talking about that, and I think I don't. I was going to ask your opinion as well because we're talking about casualness and like the environment and stuff like that. One of the things we came to like a bit of a conclusion on, a consensus on, is that the reason why there's so much crossover is the social and like communicative and the like casual aspect of those two things. So like when you play a TTRPG, it's a social experience, and actually we can now add that idea of the story because I didn't kind of think about that. Like I usually think about it when I think about like TTRPGs, like me and you did something in a TTRPG, not my character and your character. Do you remember when I
Yeah.
did this? And I feel
Mhm.
like now that we've talked about the casual experience, like the story of the game, do you think that that is like a thing, that casual, communicative, like social experience that has a
Absolutely.
story is the reason why you have that
100%.
crossover?
100% there's that parallel because again, anytime you're spending any amount of time with three other people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, unless none of you have personalities, you're going to walk away with a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be something as simple as, you know what, so and so had this really, really cool, very niche built deck that did just like these things, or you'll see, somebody had a turn three play that actually let them win the game because of like this thing and this thing and this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a lot of those parallels do exist because after a D&D session, what do you talk about? You talk about the story that you created while you were playing with that group of people.
Yeah,
Commander's the exact same thing.
definitely.
You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
And it can be as you can go as deep with EDH. Like you can have games where everybody's playing specific guilds or specific tribes, or and then it turns into like, oh man, we did this game where it was dragons versus elves versus goblins versus skeletons. Or I've been in games where like everybody had the same commander, but everybody had a different build.
That's pretty dope. Like I would love to see something like that happen.
I did that with a Nekusar pod, and everyone else built more traditional Nekusar decks, and I went just the opposite direction and built anti card draw Nekusar. And yeah, I completely tanked the first and third games, but the second game, I just flat won. Like they couldn't do anything because everything that I was doing penalized them for their entire game plan.
Yeah, you played like a really weird like stacks like sort of like yeah
It's like, oh, you want everybody to draw 20 cards? Okay, well, I want everybody to discard their hand after they do that. But it was fun.
yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
yeah, and I think like one of the things I was talking about to lunch as well was like I think one of the cool things about like Commander is like listening to the stories of why people play their commanders and like the emotional connection that they have to their commanders. So like, we were talking about pet decks with lunch, obviously, and he was saying that they were saying that like the reason they play certain commanders is because it was the first precon they ever bought was based on the same commander and had the same ideas, and they just fine-tuned it to the deck that they have now, and they have a casual version and a CEDH version, which is pretty dope. Like, I play werewolves because Innistrad is my favourite plane. Like, I am building that deck. I kind of build Volo because I guess I like TTRPGs, and like I don't know why, but I really like Volo as like a lore character in D&D. Like, this a guy who just goes around like actually interviewing monsters, like because depending on how he's like written or how he's like described, you either get like the serious like David Attenborough, like, here we are in the astral plane observing the astral dreadnought, or you get like, so what do you think of this, as he's like holding a microphone to a beholder? Like, do you think this is like a good environment to raise your like, and, like and like just his tall tales as well of like him just being like, oh yeah, this dragon loved me so much that like, it's like, really though? Like, I just love him. So like that idea again of those stories as well is something that I find really interesting and fascinating, and one of the reasons why I quite like casual EDH is because like there's more time for those stories, whereas in like competitive, again, you're trying to win. Like, I haven't got time. Like, it's one of the like sometimes it is just genuinely like it's one of the meta commanders. Like, like
no, absolutely.
yeah. So you're like, oh, like I thought we were gonna get something good out of this, and then nah, fam. Like, we're not doing that. So yeah, no, I'm really excited to try and jump in and do some stuff, and hopefully we can find some time. Before we wrap up, I've got a few like of the standard questions that I've been asking everyone. Okay, we kind of talked about like we kind of talked about one, but I'll have to kind of change the question, because one of the questions was like, who's your like least favorite commander to play against, and you kind of spoke about that with your friend's deck. So my first question to you, my first like generic question to you is, what commander are you playing at the moment? Who's your favorite commander to play at the moment?
Right now, I would say it's either a toss-up between Ovia and Darien.
Nice.
They're both like signature decks. Ovia is big green stompy with some artifacts synergies, but ideally I'm just trying to generate a bunch of mana and hard cast an Impervious Greatwork.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what that deck does.
Yeah.
And then Darien is mono white, but it's mono white kind of deal damage to myself or let myself be damaged, because then I get creatures and I gain life and I can create this giant board state. And it's just, I love token decks. I mean, my first ever commander deck was Slimefoot the Stowaway. I've always liked Saprolings. I don't care what anybody says about Fallen Empires. It's one of my favorite sets.
Fair enough.
You know, but yeah, no, right now, my two favorite, it's a toss-up between Ovia and Darien, for sure.
Nice. Second question. Dream commander. Who's the commander who you would have, who you dream to have a deck for one day?
Oh.
I can give you an example if you'd like. Like, I really want a commander deck based on Jace Vryn's Prodigy, the flip walker from Origins, because of the fact that obviously like it's cool to have flip walkers, and I just like, I don't very often play blue until I started playing Simic. I feel like growing up in Magic is you hate blue when you're a kid and prefer black, but then when you grow up and you become an adult, you kind of go, nah, blue's okay. Like, blue's all right. Like so because you're like in your edgy emo phase, like you're like, my room is black, therefore my deck is black.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, who's your dream commander?
I want a 5-color commander that's
not a Mamp, like Omnath or whatever his name is. Like,
not Omnath. No. Although, I mean, 5-color Omnath. I mean, it really depends on what his abilities are. I love 5-color decks. I have like 4 of them. Because I think that it allows you so much design space. Because you can really cater to, like, you can get the best black things that fit your strategy and the best white things that, and so you pull from all of those different colors. I would like to see like a 5-color commander that penalized the table for card draw or treasure tokens. I want an anti.
We need anti-treasure, especially with Dockside in every red deck ever. Like, we need an anti-treasure.
I think we definitely need some anti-treasure tech. Yeah, for sure.
No, that's completely fair. I understand that. And then my third and final question. My third question is usually a commander you fear or you worry about when you see them at the table, but you kind of spoke about that. So I'm going to make it a bit more. I'm going to evolve that question for you, Doni. Doni, which commander do you want to see banned? If you had to ban a commander tomorrow, they for some reason they've who?
Muldrotha. Hands down, Muldrotha. If I had the power to ban a commander, it would be that one.
Is that just because you've had like terrible experience, or like is it because of the play? Why?
For me, playing against Muldrotha has led to so many non-games for everyone else at the table. Because it's so easy to take over or put yourself in a situation where you're constantly recurring the same answers over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, Spore Frog and Muldrotha just shouldn't be allowed. Because it literally prevents combat, period. You are not going to get to attack. If you're on an aggro strategy, you're effed. Yeah. So, and again, the same can be said for any of the cards that fit with Muldrotha, whether it's Muldrifter or what's the Ravenous Chupacabra, or literally it's removal on a stick, and it's repetitive, and to me it's just boring. I know that there's people out there that appreciate, people love Muldrotha. And those people love Muldrotha because it's very stable. It's easy to put yourself into a game-winning board states. The worst thing you can do to a Muldrotha player is just prevent them from casting their commander.
And there is, like, much like with my Volo deck, like, it is one of those things where it's like, as soon as you see them go to cast that commander, like, any blue mana you have up, any black mana you have up, you keep it up and you can wait for it to hit the deck or not even hit the thing. Like,
nope.
There is nothing more soul crushing than when you're like, right, I need to get Volo out as soon as possible, and you just see blue mana start tapping, and you're like, fuck, not like this, and now suddenly I have a 6 mana commander and it's turn free. I'm like, yeah, not like this.
I've definitely been there. Like, you cast Najila turn 1, and then somebody blows it up, and then you've got to wait like 2 turns before you can cast it again, and then somebody blows it up, and now it costs 7, and it can degrade really, really quickly.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think that we've come to a great place to finish up. Doni, thank you so much for coming on here with me and taking part in the Pod of Many Things Command Fest. I know that I'm not like the biggest channel or anything like that, but I do really appreciate your time and your effort. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could give another like quick spiel about where we can find you, what you do, everything like that. Shout out whatever you need, and obviously I will make sure that all the links and stuff are in the doobly doos and the thingamajigs and the whatchamacallits for all these different websites that this is going to go on: YouTube, like Anchor, Spotify, and all that jazz.
Yeah, Patterson. I mean, really, it's been a pleasure. I had a great time hanging out with you. Like I said, come find us. I'm on Instagram at Cardboard Pimpin'. Normally, you're going to see like trade stuff and a lot of retweets where someone's trying to buy, sell, or trade something. That's usually what I do on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can find me on Twitter at Pimpin73. You can also find me anywhere you can find the filthy MTG casuals. And then again, like we have a regular Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time Twitch stream where we play EDH with, some of the coolest people in the community, which is all of you, including yourself.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. So yeah, 9 a.m. your time, so that'd be 9. It's like 8 hours, isn't it? So it'd be like 12.
It's like 8 hours.
5. So about 5 in the evening for me, 6 in the evening.
Yeah.
The boy, I might be able to if I can get the boy to eat. But yeah, no, I will make sure I'm there. And for everyone who's listening, everybody who's watching, everybody who is on Instagram for me and everything like that, I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna do the sign off. Because, again, thanking Doni, but I hope that whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're safe, I hope you're well, and I hope you're having great times playing Magic, playing TTRPGs, collecting Funkos, practicing your drawing, whatever you love to do. I hope it brings you joy, and you know what? I hope you have a lovely, great time. I'll see you soon. Bye. Peace.